jumping back at those chairs. You guys got the best ones. Usually it's the opposite way. You get people come in and they sit in the back, and you've got the whole front row. I don't know what happened. It must be our presenter. Like, I want to be in front. My name's Michelle here. I'm a volunteer with the Democratic Party here in Menominee County, and I'm really glad to see all of you here. You've got some new faces. That makes me so happy. Today's Fireside Chat is about how we stay steady in chaotic times, divided times, and maybe how we take a breath and how we deal with it. And I'll let our speaker get into that more so. But before I introduce our speaker, I want to remind us of the norms that we have for these fireside chats. We want to start and end on time. Listen to learn. These are learning things. This isn't a gotcha. This is how we learn. And when we learn more, we can do better. Respect multiple perspectives. We have people who may think differently than us, and that's okay. Don't freeze others in time, but including yourself. We all have something to learn. And ask questions for clarification. So those are the norms we'll abide by today for this talk and for all of our fireside chats. It brings me great pleasure to introduce Reverend Bill Mcbride, who is a retired minister, pastor, but also has written several books. He's got a lot of experience, and he has a wonderful, practical plan for us today. So I'll let you do more of your introductions. Bill McBride.
Michelle, I have to confess that you said the presenter like a class of people that sit in the front. When I was in the church, and I'll share a little bit about my history, the saying was, you gotta come early to church to get the back row. I'm pleased to be with you today. Before I get formally into the presentation, and we'll just back up and say, in my career, I preached over 7,500 sermons, so today is not going to be a sermon. I'm going to encourage and even expect some discussion and your responding. That way I know that you're understanding and thinking about what I'm sharing today. So feel free, if you have a question, and I'll stop several times and ask if you understand things, because we're going to move through some sections here. So feel free, conversation. I always encourage that when I was preaching. I'd say, I'd say there's no rhetorical questions. And I'd ask a question, and people just sit there looking at me, and I'd point to somebody and say, what do you think about that? So discussion and questions means you're thinking about it, and that's an important topic for us. Before we formally roll into things, I want to conduct a little thought experiment with you to get you involved. When I was at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, my undergraduate degree was in psychology. And one of the courses I always remember was in social psychology. And it's how we learn about ourselves and how we understand people, because how we relate in social settings, cultural settings, social psychology. And our minds determine, really, in many ways, how we relate. So I'm going to do a little thought experience with you, and as my professor would say, first you think. You think. I went to Starbucks the other day, and this is a pretend story. I went to Starbucks the other day, and there was a man sitting at the table Julie and I usually sit at. There was no reserve sign on it. Our name wasn't there, save for Bill and Julie. I walked in, and I saw the guy sitting there, and I had to be able to sit someplace else. And I thought, why in the world is he sitting in our spot? That was my first thought. When you think about something, like I was thinking about that guy, then a thought turns into a feeling. It begins as a thought, which is benign. Just, why is he sitting there? And then I started to feel angry. What are you going to tell that idiot that he's sitting in our spot? And I started getting agitated. And when you get upset about something, after you think about it, if you feel something, you can feel yourself tighten. stress. Your heart might start beating, you might start perspiring, you get agitated. And then it always, quite often, moves into action. Think, feel, and do. Now, the positive thing is for us to do things that are healthy for us mentally and emotionally. I'm going to go there and push him out of the way. That's what I wanted to do because I was feeling angry at him. But fortunately, I learned that you don't always act on your emotions unless you really want to get into trouble or break relationships. So I want you to take a moment, and it's important for us to center ourselves before we think. So I want you to take a deep breath with me. Take a breath in and breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, deep breath. Breathe out. Now, if you're comfortable, I would like you to close your eyes, and I'll direct you what I want you to think about. Think about a time in your life when you were younger. I always think about a time when I was like 10 years old. Think about a time when you were much younger, elementary school, primary school. A time in which life around you was steady. It was predictable. It was working. The structures around you were okay. Think about that. A time when you were in a steady, predictable, good situation. Put yourself there for just a second. And when you're in that place, how did you feel? Feel when you were a youngster in a very positive, steady situation? How did you feel? And then, when you're feeling good about your life and about the situation, what might you have done as a youngster in that perfect as you felt it situation? Were you smiling? Did you feel relaxed? Did you feel happy? Think, feel, and do. Now I want to do it one more time with you. Close your eyes and think about a time other than today. It could have been last week, last year, 10 years. A time in your life when the world and everything around you was unsteady as you perceived it. Chaos, conflict, division. You were in the midst of a storm of life. Put yourself there. You may not want to have been there, but you're there right now. Could be whenever in the past, not today, but in the past. Think about that. How do you feel? How did you feel when you found yourself, you looked, and you were in the midst of difficulty? Feel tense? Did you feel stressed? Did you start to panic maybe? Did your heart start to beat? And when you found yourself in that unsteady place in your life, or circumstance, where did you want to be? Did you want to run? Escape it? Or maybe it was someone you were talking to who was just being outrageously mean to you. Did you want to yell at them? Tell them they need to change? See what they think, you feel, and then what you do. When it's steady, it's great. But when it's unsteady, it can be very hard on us. It's risky when I tell people to close their eyes. Wake up now. If you dozed off this morning, that's our thought experiment. It's good to do that, to get in touch with it. Because when you think about something, you feel something, a lot of times we don't get in touch with how we feel. The feelings always move to action when we look at it. Today we're going to talk about being steady in unsteady times. Two things though, there's two parts to that. There's steady, which is our goal, and we'll spend much of our time on that and close with that. But we're also going to come to some understanding of unsteady times. So we're going to talk about our unsteady times, and maybe, hopefully, find some agreement. And we're talking about our times right now in our world, wherever we are. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to concentrate on how, in the midst of unsteady times, can we still find things that steady us, that calm us, that give us hope and strength. As Michelle introduced me, I'm Reverend Mcbride, and you see the picture of that. Those were my work clothes 5 years ago, before I retired and most of my life. As you can see, I look like a Lutheran pastor. I was born and raised in the Lutheran church. Became a United Methodist when I turned 18, and for very noble reasons. My girlfriend was a United Methodist, and she invited me to church. What a good reason to go to church, not a Methodist church. My mother gave me her blessing. She says, I don't care where you go as long as you go someplace. And so I had complete freedom. I said, that's a great thought. And I felt happy. And what did I do? I became a United Methodist. I spent 45 years in the Wisconsin United Methodist Church. The bishop approached you maybe 5 to 7 years. I lived in 11 different cities all over Wisconsin. I preached, as I shared, over 7,500 sermons. I didn't count them, but I averaged about 3 every Sunday. Take the weeks and the years, and it come up about 7,500. And I'm about sermoned out. I've had enough of that, but I love talking and sharing and writing and all of those things. And today, retired from the United Methodist Church in Merrimack, where I serve. And Julie and I retired. We lived all over Wisconsin. This was during the pandemic. Trying to find a house you could afford during the pandemic. Everything was asking plus 3 times asking. Well, we looked everywhere. We even looked in Ironwood, Michigan, Iron River, Michigan, Crystal Falls, Michigan, right on the west side of the UP. And we're sitting there, and we had 1 month we had to get out of the house as the church in the parsonage. And Julie sent me down, thank God. She said, why don't you just see if you can find a house right around here? I said, I never thought of that. Why am I driving all over creation and not finding a home? And so one thing about being a pastor in the United Methodist Church, when you leave the church, called an appointment, you need to leave it. For 2 years, you can't go back to that church if you got to give the new pastor some time so they can have a relationship with the church. And so we found our home in Mcbride. Still about 1.5 miles away from the church. And we had 2 conditions. We wanted to be a house we could afford during the pandemic. And the second thing was, wherever we lived, it had to be close to our favorite coffee place, Starbucks. Julie and I have one favorite hobby, and that's coffee. We have our own little pantry room where it's got Keurig and coffee and all of that stuff. And we love drinking coffee. First thing we do in the morning, if I get up first, make Julie a coffee. If Julie gets up first, makes me a coffee. We have our coffee and we chat. Although I love ministry, and you see me in one of this picture there writing, I love to write, love to talk. If you look up the word expert in the dictionary, you'll see Reverend Mcbride is one of the definitions. But my most loved thing in the world is my wife, Julie, right there. She's my rock. She always sits in the front row. Yes.
She's your girlfriend?
We've been married 11 years last week.
Oh, okay. She wasn't.
She was, oh no, she was not that girlfriend. No, she's my most recent girlfriend and wife. We were married in the United Methodist Church. I served in Toma. We went together to celebrate our 11th anniversary. So, thank you. A little bit about me and my life as a pastor and now as a retired pastor. And I'm going to be dressed up today. Normally it's shorts and a t-shirt this summer. Right? Julie got me some clothes to look professional. So. Have you ever seen a sign like this? Not in the book, but when I visited hospitals a lot as a pastor, there was always a box on the wall saying, in case of emergency, break glass. And the fire department and the siren will go off, and there may be an accident there, whatever. Well, today we're talking about in case of an emergency or a need you have in your life, break the glass, and you'll find my book, hopefully, Steady and Unsteady Times. Just published a couple of weeks ago, and my talk is based on that, but the book is 10 chapters and 20,000 words. I'm not going to keep you here all day. But if you're interested, you can get that. Today's presentation, I want you to understand, it's not a political presentation. It's not a divisive presentation. It's not opinion without research. It's not a religious discussion. And it's not a sermon I've been waiting and wanting to preach for a long time. Here's what it is. It's based on my latest book, Steady and Unsteady Times. It's based on my 45 years of experience. It's based on common human ground. We all share in this. For some it may be new, for some it may be, yeah, I understand that because I'm experiencing it. And it is based on essential for living well in today's world. That's what we're about today. And if you stay till the end, but if you've got to go see the dentist and bug out of here, that's fine too. Watch the YouTube video and parts about this that you missed or Facebook. There'll be information at the end. I'm going to give you the audiobook version, Steady and Unsteady Times. Many people like audiobooks. And if you like an audiobook, I'm going to give this to you free. There'll be a link. You can get it. Or if not, you can you go to my author site. There's my email. You can email me and I'll send it to you. But when you click the link, it says click the link to open your book. It will automatically open up and start playing. It's an hour and 22 minutes, but it's the whole book in audio format. The goal for my book and our conversation today is a practical guide for protecting your mental health. I do not believe anyone here today is mentally ill, but a lot of times we're mentally exhausted. We're just mentally worn out. We're tired of the negative feelings and it wears us out and we don't know what to do. So I want to help protect your mental health, your relationships, and to give you hope in your body world. If there's one thing we need in our world today, it's a roadmap. I remember as a kid growing up, I got to be the navigator in the car. I loved looking at the roadmap and telling me Dad where to go. This other trip. We all need a roadmap to get from here to there, to get from where we are today to where our dreams are motivating us. And we make it all to look at it. My motto in life is, if you're still breathing, you're still growing. Dreams do not expire when you reach 60, 70, 80, or even 90. I've heard stories of ladies who are 96 who just graduated from college. That's true. And it comes. And that's really what this talk and what book is about. Okay, time for a few questions. I'm going to ask you some questions, and as the picture shows, if you agree or you've done this, just raise your hand. Just so I know I'm connecting with you and you can relate to what's going on. And I have to say, there's a lot of illustrations here that I didn't make, but ChatGPT helped me to create. I told it what to do, and it did it for me. So when I ask a question and describe it, if that fits you, just raise your hand if you've gone through this. How many of you have sat down to watch the news, whether it's streaming news, if it's cable news? Wait a minute, I haven't asked the question yet. I'll get to it. You gotta look at the guy. Whether you watch streaming news, local news, or cable news, it doesn't matter. And you'll turn it on, and what do you see first? Breaking news. And you go, wait a minute. And they're talking about a fire in Spokane, Washington. And you go, wait a minute. That was breaking news 10 days ago. Why in the world are you still telling me it's breaking news? There can't be anybody in the United States left who hasn't heard and seen pictures of smoke and fire. Or whatever that you see as breaking news. And what do you want to do? Like this guy. What does he feel when I get a picture? What's he feeling? He's annoyed, frustrated, angry. And he picks up the remote and he wants to turn it off. But you notice, and this is a clue, what you can do to limit the noise that affects your life. He doesn't have his finger on the turn off the TV button because there may be some news that support it. There's a great button on the TV, and I just realized it a couple of weeks ago. It's called the mute button. Yeah. Julie and I hit the mute button a lot because breaking news is happening all the time, but it's, and this is one of the drawbacks of instant news around the world. I've heard about the last earthquake in Japan about 10 times. And I'm sure you have too, not. So if you're like this guy and you just get angry and frustrated at all of the old breaking news? Raise your hand. Yeah, you've been through it. How many of you have either looked out the window or seen it on the internet or even on TV? You see all the chaos and confusion and division outside, and you long and wish that the world could be like it was when you were a child. And if I use any of your names, I apologize, but I like to put names and pictures of personal. Here's Martha. Martha's looking out the window. She wants peace, and she can't find it out that window. And she wishes she was back when she was a child in 1945, when things were peaceful and calm. And she could look out the window, and she could see a world that was in control. Have you ever had that feeling? You wish you were back in time? I do. It doesn't solve it for me, but I oftentimes wish I was back in the 50s as an adult. That's when I was an elementary age kid and the world was predictable. But we haven't invented time travel yet. So we have to deal with stuff going on outside of us without just sitting, longing, and feeling lonely and isolated. How many of you have had a family member over for a cup of coffee and a discussion? Here's Charlie and his son Benjamin. They sit down at the table having a discussion, and you know where Charlie's at. And Benjamin's in a different place. You can read what it says on the coffee cups and the headline on the newspaper. Talk about division in families. Talk to Benjamin about politics. Just mention something. Who are you going to vote for in this upcoming election? I'm going to vote for, and family. You ever had that situation? Yeah.
We were just talking about this one.
Yeah. What happened to talking about difficult things and still being civil? Let's go. We need to learn how to be steady in our unsteady world because it isn't steady anymore. How many of you have had a situation like this? You see the old guy at that head of the table, that's weird Uncle Charlie. And if anybody's Charlie in here, I apologize. There are two significant things happening this November. Does everybody know what the first one is? The elections. And Thanksgiving. Can you imagine what's going to happen? Unfortunately, at some Thanksgiving tables. Have you ever had that experience at Thanksgiving? Well, good for you. I never have. When I was a child, we would always go to my cousin's place in Jefferson, Wisconsin, drive from Madison, go over to Jefferson. We talk about everything in the world, even politics. But we never screamed, we never yelled, we never pointed fingers, we never pointed weird Uncle Charlie. But it's happening more and more when families gather. And it's a warning sign that we need to do something positive about gatherings when families gather. So we're left with one really big question. And here's Martha again. She's not an information overload, she's immersed in it. And the big question we have to answer is, what does all of this mean to us? As we get into kind of the psychology, the mindset statements, and moving toward more detail, what we can do. Many would agree that the greatest danger facing America today is not simply inflation. It's not politics, it's not the war or the economy or gas prices or climate change. Those are all important and significant. Some of those may need to be changed. But that's not the greatest danger. I want to share with you, I pretend there is a far bigger danger ahead if we don't find a way to be steady in unsteady times. The biggest danger is what these events outside of us are doing inside of us. And there we have a young lady, I don't know what she's doing on her laptop, but all of that black stuff, there's all of that assaulting that's coming in through her. It's what's happening on the outside that we choose to allow to come on the inside, and we think, feel, and do unhealthy things. And what do we quickly say? I've said it, I bet you've said it. You hear something on TV you don't agree with, and there it is again, you get angry and you go, it's their fault. If they would just change, I wouldn't be so angry. You ever said that? Now, granted, yeah, not quite in that same way, but in your own way. Now, granted, there are many things that need to be changed out there, but there are a lot of things we have no control over. Like the tornado that hit Appleton. Thank God it didn't get on me, but it could have. I don't know anyone in the world that can control where that next tornado will hit. But we quickly want to say somebody's got to do something about that. And if somebody doesn't do something about that, we start feeling more stressed when that report comes out because we don't know how to deal with that. Does pointing fingers and anger improve anything? No, it doesn't. It won't change anything too much. It will create defensiveness, it will create negativity, and it will hurt yourself. So, yelling at the TV and saying it's their fault will fix it. And a lot of times we quickly want to be the victim. We want to say, they are changing our families, those people out there that we don't agree with, we don't like. They are changing our friendships. And they are changing our peace. It's their fault. Yes, sometimes we need to change things out there. It's not black or white, there's gray areas in there. That's what we're talking about. Is it really they that need to change? It's like going out on your deck and yelling at the storm and hoping it changes. That it just won't happen. The best thing that this couple can do, instead of they're thinking about that storm, they're feeling upset at the storm, and so what do? They go out and they can yell at it. That doesn't change. What they need to do is go downstairs in the basement. Do something healthy for themselves. Take a look at that picture and tell me what the danger is in that picture. Anybody?
Come on. He's oblivious.
He's oblivious. You got it. Why is he oblivious? What's he doing?
He's in nature and he's
Sucking those phones. He's in nature, he's sucking those phones. You might immediately say, well, the danger, that's stupid trap. You put that trap right on the trail. That's not the danger.
Looks like his shoes can handle.
Looks like what?
It looks like his shoes can handle.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's pretty sharp.
Well, that's pretty sharp. Yeah, the danger is not the trap. The danger, it's Frank. Frank's glued to the smartphone. He has no clue what's going on around him. He is glued to that thing, and that's where the internet, has invaded our lives. It's the negative. But it's not really the internet that's the problem. Who's the guy? Who's the change?
Frank is the good one.
Yeah, Frank. What does Frank need to do? So keep his hike safe. What's he doing? He's saying, well, who me? I don't need to change. You need to get rid of that trap. Oh, no. Frank needs to make healthier choices. Think, feel. You can think, there's a terrible trap there, if he sees it. You can feel like scared. What do? Well, you don't do something unhealthy that may cause you to walk in that trap. Frank, just walk around it. Do something healthy and you will relieve yourself of physical harm and emotional harm.
He needs to enjoy the nature.
Yeah. Frank really wasn't enjoying the nature, was he? No. We need to make choices that are healthy, make healthier choices. And so we need to own it. Oftentimes, what we think, feel, and do, we are changing our families quite often. When we point our finger at grandson Benjamin and tell him he's an idiot for not voting the way I did in the last election, and if he's got any brains, he better vote the right way. That's not the problem. Grandpa's not a victim. We are changing our families by what we do and think. We are changing our friendships by what we think and say. That guy at the coffee at Starbucks, he might have become a friend, but he's sure not going to become a friend if I go over and push him around and tell him he's sitting in the right place and get out of here. And the big thing, we are changing our peace, our daily peace. Let me illustrate it this way. What do you see on that screen? Picture? Bunch of computers, right? Yeah. It starts in 1991 in the top left. It goes all the way down to 2021 in the bottom right, and even to 2026. Now, yeah, the boxes change, the physical computers, but take a look at the screens. What are you seeing on all of those screens? It's got a name. Windows operating system. It's what's going on inside the computer. And you can bet that a computer in 1991, when it first came out, that's the first time in the church I got a Windows computer, because the church had Windows computers. I know there may be some Mac users here, and Mac is the same way with this operating system. When Windows introduced what's called GUI, Graphic User Interface. It's the first time you can see a picture, a graphic on the screen of the interface, the operating system. But notice the pictures over time, they all changed because the operating system changed. Why does the computer operating system change over the years?
To make money.
Well, yeah, that's the part of it.
Well, the utility of technology changes so they can present more things.
Technology changes. You can bet a computer in 1991 probably it basically had beginning internet. It couldn't do artificial intelligence or streaming YouTube video. You had to have an operating system that did that. So here's Fred and Martha, and look at the pointing to their computer, and if you do Windows, that's the Windows 11 operating system. It's up to date, but I've heard that there's going to be Windows 12 coming up soon, probably to deal with artificial intelligence to keep up. But operating systems change, right? They change because system wants to be reliable. And the operating system just operates. It's invisible. If you turn on your computer, or you take it off the screensaver, and it's just there, and you don't go, I wonder the operating system is turning on. You just want it to do something for you. And it does, if you've updated your operating system. It helps you create things, and do things, and read emails, and watch YouTube videos, and whatever you do on your computer. It's reliable most of the time, and it stays up to date with updates. And the final thing it does is it handles all of the challenges you give to it. Well, that's true with computers. That's pretty easy. It's a physical reminder. But you realize we also have operating systems that run our lives on the inside. How many of you were born in the 50s? Oh, wonderful. How many of you were born in 1950? Okay. I was. I grew up in the 50s. That's why I dream about being an adult back in the 50s. 1950s. Let me share with you when I was in elementary school or primary school, 10 years old. Here was my operating system. What do you notice about the 1950s in that age? What's going on?
Kids playing outside instead of being on the phone.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Family. Is anybody looking at a smartphone? No. Does Grandma have a laptop open on the porch? What's the only media that's available at that time? Yeah, Dad's carrying a newspaper. We had 2 newspapers in Madison. Wisconsin State Journal, which came out in the morning. It was there on the porch before Dad got up. And then the Capital Times came in the evening. And then there was Walter Cronkite and Check Out Baby Brinkley in the evening. It was after supper. But that was the media. And so the family, there was communication. They looked at each other. They talked with each other. What else do you notice? You notice the one thing I really enjoy is I'd go out in the morning, right after breakfast, and sit on the front steps, and I'd wait for the little plane. Real milk in bottles, glass bottles, delivered to the back door in a little aluminum box. You open it up and put the milk in. It doesn't happen anymore. Why doesn't it happen anymore? Because the operating system for our lives has changed. There's one more thing on that picture that's really important back in the 50s. It's still important, but it's important back then for a different reason. Does anybody know what it is? It's not the cars.
The grandma sitting on the porch?
No. Good answer, but not the right one. That's what I'm looking for.
Kids riding bikes.
Kids riding bikes, hula hoops. Yeah, they're inside the bedroom, streaming whatever on their computer. They don't have it, so they play together. There's one more thing. Notice the street light?
Oh, yeah.
Street light. I get up and go out and play. Now in Madison, I was 4 blocks from Bibles Park and a zoo. I played out there to noon, come home for lunch, and as I was walking out the door after lunch, what would Mom say?
The street lights
The
come on.
home when the street light comes on. Now, when I had kids and they'd go out and play after lunch, would I dare say that? No.
No.
Be home by 5, and I'm going to be watching. And I'll call you on your cell phone if you're 5 minutes late. My mom would say, when the street light comes on, and it was safety and no problems. My whole life growing up, I always looked for that street light. Fortunately, Madison, it didn't be dark until 9, so about 8:30, the street light would come on. I better be home. We all have operating systems that change over time, just like computer operating systems. And we rely on those operating systems to give us a meaning and purpose and help us think, feel, and live our lives. And if we're trying to operate our lives over an operating system that's no longer working or operating, we have problems. Would you all agree that we live in unsteady times?
Yeah.
In your own way, perhaps you agree. The chaos, the divisions, especially in the last 10 years. And this is not a political speech or a sermon. But you can define that unsteadiness. Just get in touch with whatever causes you to feel upset, angry, frustrated. You want to point a finger. The world is unsteady. I asked ChatGPT to give me a few reasons about what is unsteady in the world. It came up with like 100. I didn't have room for all of those. Here's a few reasons why the world, I contend, is unsteady. Constant breaking news and negative media. Political polarization and hostility. Social media outrage and comparison. Misinformation and confusion about what is true. I used to think there's only one, it's either true or it's not true. Not anymore. Economic uncertainty and inflation, rising costs of living, fear of war and global conflicts, terrorism, public safety concerns, and natural disasters and extreme weather. I would contend that the world is unsteady. And what we need is to find a way to steady it again. Steady in unsteady times. And our 2 people, Frank there goes, who, me? And Matilda goes, who, me? And I say to them, yes, you. We need to find steadiness, no matter what is happening around us. Steady, and the best way to be steady is when we change ourselves first. Now, yes, there are things outside that need to change. I wish Menominee had better sidewalks. And I wish they had streets that didn't have homes all over it, ruining my front end alignment. But I can't change those. But next Tuesday. But I still need to change myself. And we do. That's how we become steady. All right, got a big question here. How many of you have vacation in Wisconsin, driven through Wisconsin, know Wisconsin a little bit? Okay, a few. You know the advantage. I lived in 11 different cities in my 45-year ministry. I all over Wisconsin, from the way south all the way up to north. This is an image of the most favorite city I ever lived in as a pastor and served the church in the city, served a great church in the city. Now, that's not the Menominee River, but it's very similar to Menominee, Marinette, with a bridge over the river. Does anybody know where this city is? The name of the city? You got it? Excellent. This is La Crosse, Wisconsin, from the La Crosse side. And the bridge goes over and it connects to a city in what state? Minnesota. You know the name of the city right opposite La Crosse across the Mississippi River? Rochester. Small little city, smaller than La Crosse. It's called La Crescent. La Crosse, Wisconsin, connected to La Crescent, Minnesota. And notice what's right behind La Crosse. You can't see what's right behind, La Crescent, what's right behind La Crosse, are the bluffs. The bluffs are what keep that Mississippi on track. This was the most favorite place I ever served in. And when I was serving there, I moved down from Haywood, Wisconsin, way up north. I had a canoe, fished small lakes, loved to get into bass fishing. But when I moved to La Crosse, there were three big rivers. There was the Mississippi, it was connected by the Black River and the La Crosse River. All came together at La Crosse on the mighty Mississippi. And I like to fish, so fortunately I was in a big church and a man had a rowboat and he wanted to sell it to me, and sure enough. He sold me his 12-foot little tiny rowboat. It had 3 seats, but you could only fit 2 people. That's all it would hold. And I had a tiny little 35 horsepower Johnson motor on the back end. That was my boat. And I love to fish, especially in the Mississippi when it was calm. You know, my little 12-footer would work just fine. Close to shore, fishing the Mississippi, not moving. Now, I should say I'd be crazy to take my little 12-foot rowboat out on Lake Michigan. I probably wouldn't get past the lighthouse. My neighbor's got a boat. This looks like a life raft compared to his people. You won't see probably a little boat like that anywhere on Lake Michigan. It looked pretty good on the Mississippi River when the water was calm. But there would be days when, at least there was one particular day, when the wind would come up on the Mississippi in the stormy weather, and it was just windy as all get out, as you see in the picture. And in order for me to stop the drift, you see the bridge in the background, if I wasn't careful, I would have drifted all the way down to New Orleans, or maybe wrecked myself around that bridge. What is the most important tool that I can use and employ on my little boat in the midst of the storm? Any guesses?
You have to be connected with the reality of the situation you're in.
I was connected. See my face? I was totally connected with reality. I go, what in the world are you doing out here? Yeah, now what? What would stop the drift? How? Would it help if I stood up my boat and I yelled at the wind, stop wind, stop storm? Would yelling at something change anything? No, I would change my life. I'd fall overboard. Thankfully, I had my life vest on, but I used my boat. Yelling at something and telling it has to change would not stop the drift. And you got it right. The anchor is the one thing that will always stop the drift. And fortunately, I had an anchor. And I got some wisdom and got back to shore as fast as I could. It's the anchor, of course, and that's what we're going to talk about in the remaining time. It works every single time. Think of your life when you're negative, when you're feeling miserable, you start to drift away from where you would really like to be. Happy, glad, peaceful, content, big smile. And when you move away from that by choice, you start to drift. You need an anchor. And again, my contention always unsteady. We need something to keep us from drifting. That's the anchor. I have coined the phrase the anchor method. I won't go into a great deal about this, but it stops the drift every time in your life. The anchor method. We'll quickly go through it. And here's Fred in his boat. Got his anchor down and it works every time. He had great big fishing, even in rough water. But you choose to use the anchor to stop the drift. Here's the anchor method. We'll go through it quickly. The anchor method protects your mental health, protects your relationships, protects your home. No matter how divided, chaotic, challenging, and dangerous the world is, the anchor will keep you from drifting. Here's the anchor method. I'll just let you take a moment and read. It's an acronym. The word anchor, as I share, means this. A equals a 10. N equals narrow. C equals connect. H equals hold. O means operate. And R means return. This is the anchor method. A means, are you attending to what is happening inside of you? Once again, we're looking on the inside, us first. You need to be in touch with how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel when you experience the chaos, divisions, disruptions, and things outside of you can't control today, which is a whole lot of stuff. Just ask yourself, what am I feeling? When I see that breaking news from young people, what am I feeling when I see things outside that bother me? What am I feeling? And narrowing the incoming noise. She needs to kind of narrow the noise. Reduce whatever is unnecessarily increasing your pressure. Turn off the television when you did. Close social media, silence and unessential alerts, or postpone a difficult conversation until you're ready to rest. We need to narrow the noise, and we can do that. You have to choose to do that. Julie and I are choosing now to hit the mute button, or even turn it off. Turn off the TV. There's better things to do, especially with my mind. See, this is important. Are you connecting before you correct? People we disagree with and things we disagree with, we always want to correct them. Because if they would change and be just like me, I'd be happy. You know, life would be good. But we can't change. We can't change anyone else but ourselves. When you talk with someone, remember, preserve human dignity. That comes before winning the discussion. Here's an old phrase, I'm sure you've heard it, you'll have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you can listen twice as much as you talk. And there they are, connecting across the fence. H means, do you hold your boundaries without contempt? It means you can put up fences, you can put up your boundaries, but do it without contempt. State clearly what you will and will not continue. You could say to someone you're having an argument with, I am willing to discuss this calmly, but I will step away if we begin attacking each other. And in the bottom, it's so important. What do we often do when we disagree with someone and we walk away? We turn around and see, I told you you were an idiot. Follow without adding an insult before you walk away. Because that just creates more chaos and more harm. O means, do you operate within your circle of influence? We all have that circle. Fear grows when your energy is directed toward events you cannot personally control. But there's a lot of things we can control in a positive way. It's useful action. Make a phone call. Help a neighbor. Share a skill or volunteer. Operate within the circle of influence you can handle. Don't try to change the weather. Don't try to totally change the political system. Operate within the circle of influence. And I'm not saying things need to change out there. Well, let's be realistic. Do you return to meaningful community and spiritual grounding? Place yourself in a larger story. This may mean worship, may mean God, prayer, taking a walk in this park in nature or someplace else. It may mean waking up with gratitude. It may mean doing some service, volunteering in your family. When I go to bed at night, I have a little challenge because it's Julie mode. I can fall asleep in like 7 seconds. I always fall asleep in the middle of my prayers. But what a great way to fall asleep. And I always thank God, and I try to find the things during the day that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for this. Thank you, God, for it. You don't get through a few, but it calms me down and helps me sleep. And that's what I mean about returning. Return to meeting community and spiritual. How do you? We're not trying to stop the storm, and what we can't control out there, we are just trying to stop drifting. That's the whole point. Now, you're still here? Yeah. I'm going to tell you how to claim your free audio book. Thank you. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you today and chat with you about this important topic. It's been very theoretical and rather deep, but I hope I've been made understanding with the illustrations and your thoughts. Here's how you claim your free book. Now, I've got, if you don't do technology, I've got 4 handouts. If anybody would like one of these, and on the last page it's got that link. Does anybody want one of these? Take one. Okay, I got 4 of them. I got 2 of them.
There'll also be downloadable from our website. So, the Menominee Dems on Facebook as well as on YouTube.
I'll take a picture of it and then we can scroll and look at it.
Yeah, you can take a picture of the QR code or give you a link and say, click here, and it'll open up the page. There's the QR code and there's the website. It's super long, but that will get you to this place. And I'll come back to this at the end. Everybody's taking a picture. You go to my authored webpage, and how in the world are you going to know my authored webpage? Well, it's going to be really easy. You're going to take a picture of it in the next. Okay. When you go to my authored webpage, you can't miss it. You'll see this guy that looks like he's a priest, but he's not. He's a retired pastor. And you'll see at the very top, you'll see this. You'll see the Steady and Unsteady Times. And there's two things I want you to notice. You'll see them there, a circle. Down at the bottom, there'll be a blue link you can click. Or up at the very top, is another header? Yeah. There's another red circle. You'll see at the very top next to the home page, it'll say Fireside Chat Resources. So you'll click the blue link or that link after you've looked at my home page. And you'll go to that page. You can see if You'll go to a resource page, which will have at the very top the audiobook. And it'll have a blue link. You click that blue link, and it'll start playing. And up at the very top left corner, there's a down arrow. You can download the audiobook. There is also a PDF file you can download with all the slides. So you can scroll through those if you want. And there's also another link below that. If you want to get the ebook, the Kindle ebook, if you're an ebook reader, you can click and go and get that. And on that link, I also share I've written a 60-page workbook that goes exactly with the book. It goes with Steady and Unsteady Times. Does everybody need to see the link in the book? Okay. And once again, the whole thesis is we're not trying to stop the storm, and when we can't control our air, we're just trying to stop drifting. And this is probably my favorite picture. It's people that have stopped drifting. And it doesn't matter if you're a senior or any age in between. So, that's my speech. Thank you for your time.
Does anyone have any questions?
Questions or comments? Did I cover it okay? Do you understand where we're at with that? I hope you steady yourself no matter what's happening.
How do you do this? Like, you have a loved one that is in the midst of anger at someone, at a family member or a friend. How do you get them to listen, to come into and appreciate this?
Okay. I try this a lot. It doesn't work. Don't tell them what they need to do to be a better person.
No.
Yeah. Because they'll just get angry. Not at the situation. They'll also get angry. You can show by how what you choose to do. If you're watching the news and they get angry at something in the news and start getting very agitated, you can say, hey, let's think about, I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing, and here's my positive about this.
Yeah.
So shift it from anger to positivity. The thing I do for people I know, distance is good. There may be some people that it's hard with a spouse, but if it's a colleague or a friend or a neighbor, you need to get away, boundaries again, without getting the last word in. And if you get into a discussion with your husband, the worst thing you can do is say, see, I'm right. I went to this lecture and it really helped me. I wish you would listen. You're really causing problems. Well, he's only causing problems for you if you let him.
Right.
He could be causing problems for you, so try to get at the issue. That's a difficult one. Think, pray.
Yeah.
Pray for him.
Yeah.
I'm in. Keep at it. Keep being positive. keep doing positive things, and you can ask questions. That's a good thing. What's bothering you, honey? You know, obviously you're upset. I can see it and feel it.
There's conflict between the two actually.
Okay. With each other?
Yes.
Okay. Do you ever talk to them individually?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could resource with them and say,
Yeah.
you could even share the YouTube or Facebook thing, or offer my audiobook or whatever.
Yeah.
To help them, to resource them.
Thinking about the debit.
Yeah. To get positive resources. And don't fall into the trap of agreeing with them against the other person.
No. Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't hurt.
No.
Sit them apart from each other at the Thanksgiving table.
Lily, we have another question.
Yeah, I know if we talk about frequently about the news, I can't get any secret opinions.
Yeah.
The anchors are telling us their opinions.
Yep.
And we can get it back to our own opinions. And I think that it's on purpose to keep people coming down. So they cannot sit on their own and cannot really listen. But
Yeah.
the news, all I hear is someone's opinion, opinion, virtual, and his opinion.
There's something about humanity. When Julie and I hear a siren or an ambulance coming, we look out the window. There's something about humanity that loves to chase the ambulance and go to the fire, and the negative news attracts attention, and the media does that intentionally because they're a corporate group that want to make money, and money is based on viewership. Listen to the ads, so it's intentional. Yeah. How do you find the truth?
Well, a nice segue is that we are
Come to the next
actually
fireside chat.
next fireside chat in September. I think it's September 14th. I'm trying to remember. We're going to have a panel of journalists and talk about accuracy and bias in the news. And we're working at it. And then also in October, we were planning on having Dr. Hoppus going to talk about financial strategies in a time of unaffordability. And so I guess I open this up too. If anyone has additional ideas for fireside chats, feel free to jot them down on the paper over there where you signed in. That would be really helpful. I want to take this moment to thank Bill Mcbride. And we hope you all come back to our next fireside chat in September. Thank you so much.